maybe. A copy of Renee Patrick's latest novel, Dangerous to Know, featuring Frank's office. And also at stake here is a brand new Blu-ray of the Michael Curtiz classic, The Seawolf. Not really noir, but a hell of a great movie with Edward G. Robinson and Ida Lupino and John Garfield. So
I like all of them.
yeah, you can't go wrong with any of them. I somehow get myself all knotted up here trying to manage all this. Okay, this is a name that performer that you picked, okay? So you don't get 3 clues and no lifelines here. Right? John Noe here knows all about playing Name That Performer because he couldn't get I was an acrobat when I started. I was in that Hemingway movie and blah, blah, blah. And I can just tear up the screen. Boy, did he like... Kirk Douglas, actually. When Kirk Douglas is the guy underplaying in a movie, you know that's kind of serious. Okay, here we go. Name the performer. I won't do my female voice, but this is My real last name is Hallward, and I'm descended from British royalty. I may have won an Oscar, but people really know me today as one of the bad girls of film noir. What's my name, sugar?
Is it Rita Hayworth?
No. Damn. No, it's not. We're going to give you a few more guesses. There is a movie playing right now in Seattle about this woman.
Yeah, Gloria Grant.
Gloria Grant. Good job, man. Good job. So how many people saw my interview with Annette Bening on Turner Classic Movies when she was promoting that movie? That is a very, very small sampling there. I am so disappointed. I'm just going to say this out loud. Ramsey's not taping, I hope.
Yeah, he is.
He is? Oh, okay. Put that thing away right now. I'm so disappointed with Sony Pictures and the way they botched the release of Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool. It's a fantastic movie, and I encourage all of you to go see it. And Annette Bening should have been nominated for an Oscar for that, her performance in that film. And I'm not saying that just because I love Gloria Grant, but it's a really good movie. And just wait until Noir City is over, and then go see Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool. Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Leave those cards on the table there when you're on the way. Thanks, bud. We only got 2 more nights after this to go in Noir City, and we have finally gotten around to showing a film from the House of Noir, RKO Radio Pictures, my favorite noir studio. And we're going to be showing you RKO Pictures 3 nights in a row as the back half of these double bills. So the movie that you are going to see tonight is truly a B picture. 60 some odd minutes long. It doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense. I'm going to be honest with you about that. Because they have to write these stories and compress them into this very, very short time frame. One thing that distinguishes this film is that one of the screenwriters is a young 23-year-old man named Robert Altman. Wow. And yes, it is that Robert Altman is actually one of his first gigs in Hollywood. He wrote the screenplay for this film, co-wrote the screenplay for this film. And it is directed by Richard Fleischer, one of his first movies. In fact, his first movie at RKO. And Richard Fleischer would really earn his stripes in the B trenches. This guy could really direct. And yes, he was related to Max Fleischer and Dave Fleischer, the famous animators, the guys who created Popeye and Betty Boop and all that. He has that same incredible kinetic sense of energy and drive in the way he makes movies. And he would make a host of fantastic B pictures, Bodyguard, Armored Car Robbery, Follow Me Quietly, and of course The Narrow Margin, which is sort of his B masterpiece, before he graduated up to A pictures, and then eventually became one of the most prominent film directors in Hollywood. 20 years ago, when I did my very first film festival, Dick Fleischer was my guest. We showed The Narrow Margin and Armored Car Robbery and Violent Saturday, which I showed here last year. And Dick came out with producer Stanley Rubin and actress Marie Windsor were all there for that first show. But this is a movie of his that I have never shown before at Noir City, so I'm thrilled that Warner Brothers had this print. Warner Brothers now owns the RKO library, and so it's a treat to be able to show this one as an early example of his work. The thing that makes it distinctive, of course, is the star of this show is the inimitable Lawrence Tierney. And if you have never seen Lawrence Tierney in a movie before, this guy didn't... He has one of the strangest careers in Hollywood because he had incredible longevity, even though nobody wanted to work with him. Because he was simply the meanest guy in Hollywood, and he was really, really difficult. And before he made this picture, he had done a film at RKO called Born to Kill, which was his one big crack at the A-list in Hollywood. They let him play opposite Claire Trevor, and they turned him into a very dangerous, handsome, menacing, and seductive leading man in that movie, but he simply could not sustain it because he was such a hellraiser outside the studios. The stories are legendary of this guy just behaving crazy. You know, they found him in the church in Santa Monica naked on the altar, pleading for sanctuary. And when they arrested him and took him to jail, he said, "Don't I get a phone call?" And he called his brother to come down and get him. And when his brother showed up, he beat him up at the police station and said, "This is all your fault, man." You know? I mean, the guy was just incorrigible. And I had the distinct, I don't know what it would be, of hanging out with him one night in Hollywood many years ago at that first film festival I did. The third night of that festival, it was a bunch of Lawrence Tierney pictures, and lo and behold, he showed up to watch these movies, and I had a memorable time with him, which I will not recount on this stage because I will not use that language in public. And, but if you go to my website, I will type that language into a computer. And you can read this incredible escapade. You know, it was that guy was incorrigible, and he lasted a long time, long enough to make Reservoir Dogs with Quentin Tarantino, where he was the leader of the gang. He played Joe Cabot. And one of a kind, and thank God. Anyway, so now that I've built it up, I mean, he's not going to live up to that in this movie because they kind of have the leash on him here. But I advise you to check out other movies that Lawrence Tierney is in. And just go to YouTube and type in Lawrence Tierney, and you'll spend a wonderful night hearing everybody recount their personal encounters with Lawrence Tierney, all the people who have had the misfortune of getting on this guy's bad side, right? So, yeah, that's it. That's my pitch for Larry Tierney. We will see you back here tomorrow. We really are on the stretch run, and the movies are terrific the rest of the way. And now, God, I'm like already scared that I'm going to like encounter the ghost of Lawrence Tierney over here because he was a terrifying guy. Enjoy the oddly named Bodyguard. Okay.